and welcome to the Sunny 16 podcast for our monthly, hopefully hostful episode. And we are not only here in audio, we are here in video as well. So if you've tuned into the podcast, just know that this is going to be up on YouTube in full glorious Technicolor. So who have I got joining me here on the podcast today? Well, let's start with the person who sadly is not with us, which is the lovely Rachel. Rachel can't be with us this evening. She's super busy at the moment, but not to worry because we've still got a very full team, because with us we've got... Who's with us? Who's behind door number one? It's Claire! Claire,
Evening.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Evening.
Very pleased to see, Claire, that the Christmas tree is still in full effect, despite the fact that it is the 20th of January. Wonderful stuff.
I know, the pines were pining to be kept up. I can't because it's January and it's quite dark and cold. I just love the lights. I just find them so therapeutic. So I've decided not to take it down quite yet.
For the benefit of listeners and viewers, Claire has told us that in the past that tree has been up until, when was it, Claire? May?
June once I kept
June. So I'm really excited to get a monthly update on the state of that tree. Joining us in Tree Watch 2021 is also the wonderful John. John, step on board.
Hello. How's it going, everybody? Good evening.
It's good to see you. Now, it's worth noting, listeners viewers will hopefully be marvelling at the spectacular visual effects going on here. This is, of course, all down to John's hard work. He's done a sterling job here. I say that now. If it all falls apart halfway through, he's an idiot and we're sacking him, obviously.
I just had to check I'd press record then, actually. Not to do it all again.
How are you doing, John?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you very much. Well, I'm shattered, exhausted, looking forward to 2021 being over and cracking on with 2022.
Yeah, quite right too. Well, it's an also delight to have back again joining us for the monthly hostful, and again, I'm hoping that this is going to be a very regular thing. Welcome back, the fabulous Aid.
Hey ho! How's everybody doing? Happy New Year! Is that still a thing people say on at this point in the year?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a thing people say in 2021 anymore. No, I don't think it's a time thing. I think it's just year relevant.
No, it's going to be full of laughs and splendor and adventure and special effects videos and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be great, isn't it? So obviously last time we spoke to you, Aid, before Christmas, we made a decision at the very last minute, we'll make this into a video and share it, which we did over on our coffee page. This time we actually came in prepared, which is why we're all looking so glamorous.
This is prepared?
Well, it's as close as we ever get to, Aid. You know this.
So I know that's a bit rude. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to be rude. You clearly your live switching video ninja skills are way up there, definitely. So maybe you should have given me a bit more warning, and I could have prepared. Maybe that's what I should have said.
Well, I'm pretty sure I told you yesterday. That's plenty of time, mate. It's not like you've had a busy day today, anyway, is it?
Let's not talk about my day today, because have you got time for a 90-minute rant about my professional life, which has nothing to do with photography at all? Is that okay?
The time, yes. The booze, no. I think that's what we're all looking to get through that. So we'll save it. You got wine. I've got wine gums, which I would say is better, but oh well, maybe not better. So what we're going to do this evening is we're going to have a quick catch up with what we've all been up to over the last month or so. We've got a little bit of news that's been going on, and also stay tuned to the end because we are launching the new Cheap Shots Challenge round, which we are very excited about. I think we've got a real winner of a topic this time, so I'm really looking forward to that, as I'm sure is everybody here, especially Aid.
When we get to that section of the show, I think you'll find I have a pretty good excuse.
Aid needs to buy a new camera, and everyone loves an excuse to buy a new camera. Anyway, let's start off with what we've been up to. Now, as mentioned at the start, Rach can't be with us this evening, so a very quick update on Rachel's behalf. She's just super busy. She's doing more stuff for Silver Grey magazine. She's prepping for online workshops she's got coming up. She's got some more fun stuff, which we're not allowed to talk about yet. all sorts of good stuff coming up. But the one thing that I can talk about without much risk of getting it completely wrong is the fact that Rachel has finally, over Christmas, bought herself a Leica. This is something that she has wanted for a very long time. Look, now we've got pictures of Rachel at Christmas with her Leica, the wonders of modern technology. She has long hankered after one, and she got herself a Leica 3A. It looks like a really nice one, and she's been out having great fun with it. So apparently she has nearly finished the first roll of film through it. So we're all looking forward to seeing the pictures from that. But best wishes to you, Rach, out there with your new Leica. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we've all just been dumped for this Leica. Do you think that's what's happened? Is that what happens when somebody gets a Leica? Is she now too good for us in this podcast? I hadn't even thought of that. The timing is suspicious, isn't it?
Too good for us. She'd have been too good for us right from the off, Graham, to be honest.
That's true. She has always been too good for us. Oh, well. Anyway, back to people who are in the room. Claire, what have you been up to in this dark and windy time of year?
Dark and windy time of year. Well, I had to adjust my plans because I think when we spoke last, I had a photo shoot planned. So obviously that meant traveling. So that's been postponed. So I've been thinking, because the 1212 project, which I'm a member of, is beginning again at the end of this month. So I've been busy trying to think what I'm going to shoot for my first theme. Well, it's not my theme. If you don't know the 1212 project, so it's the 12 photographers and everyone chooses a theme. So I'm working on that, and I have to have my image ready for 31st of January to post online. And then I've been spending my time really reading and looking at photo books. So, for instance, I'm going to recommend one here. So I've been looking through some of my old favourites, but there's this one as well. I don't know if anyone's got this one. Have you got this one? Can you see that?
Full screen.
The North. Can you see it?
Mm.
Yeah. Really great photographs by John Bulmer. Been really enjoying looking at it. Look at.
Oh, those are lovely pictures.
Really great. It's really captures a sort of period.
So, but by the looks of them, I'd say the period was maybe the 60s. Is that?
Yeah, right? And
it's hard to tell with the North.
Yeah,
and last week for a while.
and around Salford and areas like that. This is another great one.
What prompted you to pick this book up, Claire?
That.
Oh, that's an awesome pick. What prompted you to pick this book up?
I don't know how I came across it. I think there was an exhibition somewhere, and someone recommended it to me, and I got this book. So I've been really enjoying sort of having a looking at that one, because I like looking at photo books. I think that you can kind of learn from just looking at photographs, and you can absorb composition and different things, and you can get inspired. And then another of my all-time favourites is this is a little one. I've got a big one over there. Can you see this one?
Looks like it's got a Polaroid on the front of it.
Yeah, Tarkovsky. It's a book on his Polaroids, and much like his films, his Polaroids are just really beautiful. So I've been busy sort of just going through them, and also doing a bit of I love Kenneth Anger's The Filmmaker, and this is one of my favourite books. So now and again I like to dip into bits of books. But yeah, no, photo books. I don't know if any of you spend any time reading photo books or looking at photo books. But
I do love photo books. I don't buy enough of them, but they are amazing. All sorts of different stuff, big stuff, small stuff, different subjects. I find it really, it's a much deeper experience than looking at things on the internet. It's more thoughtful, more contemplative, more therapeutic, relaxing, more interesting.
Definitely,
better photos usually as well than on the internet.
Definitely.
I think by the very fact that it takes longer just to turn a page than it does to flick a screen forces you to spend more time with an image.
Mm.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I
I
do.
love them. I tend, like, when I first get them, I tend to have a very quick flick through, and then I'll come back to them as like a source of inspiration if I'm working on something or interested in a particular subject. I then go back to them to look in more detail. It's very rare that when I first get one that I'll spend time with it. It's not till later down the line.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you do see more the more times you read them, don't you? And if you leave a gap between them, you see not just more but different.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you? I'm interested actually with the three of you. Do you have particular favourites when you think photo book? Is there one book that springs to your mind? And go, yes, this one is really meaningful to me, or has really inspired what you're doing? Is there anything that particularly fills that?
I have to quickly. Actually, do you know what? John and I both have immediately looked off camera, right?
Yeah,
They're over there.
They're over. Yeah, mine are over there. Yeah. So, yes, I'll go with one. The book that springs to my mind, there's two actually. One is very cliched one, which is there's the classic William Eggleston one with the tricycle on the front. Love that book. I know it's a cliche. I love it anyway. But the one that's slightly less of a cliche is a photographer called Glenn E. Friedman, and the book in question is called My Rules. He's done more, but this particular book is a collection of his photos from late 70s through most of the 80s. He started off that period based in LA, taking photographs of skateboarders, early skateboarders in empty swimming pools, and some who went on to become quite famous. And then the latter part of that period, he was based in New York and seemed to be a regular at CBGB's right down the front with a camera and a flash, and you get pictures of a bunch of punk bands at the time. Late 70s, early 80s, through the 80s, and some of them are now household names, right? And not just punk bands, but he's got early pictures of hip hop artists as well, East Coast and West Coast, and punk bands. So you've got people like Henry Rollins in Black Flag, but you've also got like a really young Run DMC. Then West Coast, you got like a really young Ice-T before they were really big and famous. And then you've got all these weird punk bands that played CBGBs that just sank into the swamp and never were seen again, and you just don't recognize the names at all. It's like, oh, I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
So
that's the way of music.
Yeah. So that's the book that springs to my mind. It's just I got nothing else that's quite like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Claire?
I don't know if I could pinpoint it to one book. It depends what I'm in the mood for. But I do like. I've got a big Tarkovsky book over there, so I like that one. I love Helmut Newton. I always really love looking at his photo books. So I always love his work. I can't pin it to one thing. David Lynch, obviously, he's done photographs.
Of course.
So,
John, what about you?
I've got a terrible memory, so I can't actually pick one that I would choose right now, but this is what I'm reading at the moment, which is a book by Grant Scott, who runs the United Nations of Photography blog and podcast.
Okay.
And on the podcast every week, he asks a different photographer, what does photography mean to you? And it's a real broad range of photographers, like different styles, different genres. So the answers are really diverse, but they're very personal. Rather than it being these kind of like the generic like film responses, like I shoot film because of the tangibility. It's like actually specifically, well, actually I do this because of my personal circumstances. Like it's very like it's a wonderful thing to kind of get in the minds of photographers and the reality of their lives. And this is just a collection of those interviews that he's transcribed and put into a book. And like there are portraits with every photographer as well.
That's interesting, because sometimes when I listen to that podcast, oddly enough, I don't listen to a lot of photography podcasts anymore, partly because I'm just not traveling as much as I used to. But yeah, that one is easily consumable, but I often end up thinking at that bit at the end where he inserts the audio from the guest photographer of the week, I often wonder, well, what does that person look like? And
well, now's your chance.
Get the book now. Excellent.
It's available on Blue Coat Press.
That's awesome. What
about you, Graham?
I think the 3 books that, as you guys, I've got quite a lot of books kicking around. I tend to pick them up from charity shops when I see them. The 3 that I think stick in my mind more than any others, they're quite disparate. The first one is a beautiful book of portraits by Yusuf Karsh, just like stunning large format portraits of the great and the good. They're beautiful, really love those. The second one is Mother and Father, which is a book that's always stuck with me. This was where I first met you in person, Aid, was at that Paddy Summerfield thing. That's really meaningful. I really love the book, but it's, the whole experience of being in that garden and seeing it also sticks with me. And the other one, which is very different, is a book by Gillian Hyland. It's these beautiful pictures that she makes. Some of them are quite fantastic, the way she's got them all set up. They're very otherworldly, using models in all sorts of different positions. It's really hard to explain, but it's a fantastic book, and she combines that with some of her own poetry. I love it. It's nothing like anything that I do or anything else that I'm particularly drawn to, but I just really like her work. I think she's incredible. So yeah, those are the 3 for me. But as you said, Claire, but these books can be just a great thing to go to when you can't do much else in the world of photography. You can kind of go back into it and find stuff to draw you out. So is that about where you're up to at the moment, Claire?
But that's what I've been doing, planning for my image for the end of the month, and then just absorbing photo books and watching films.
That's pretty good. That's not bad for January.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
I got a book, not a photography book, but kind of related. I got for Christmas, someone gave me a book on Dario Argento, so I'm going to look forward to beginning that.
That sounds great. John, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I haven't. Okay, who am I?
Let me just check. Yes,
I actually went.
Okay.
I actually went out and took some photos in the last couple of weeks. I've got my new zine coming out at the end of this month, and I needed some more images to complement like the narrative that I'm putting through it. And conveniently, it was incredibly foggy last week, which suited
always useful.
Some of the subjects I'm covering. So shot some medium format, some pan F, and some color as well, which is a rarity for me. Ooh. Which then led me to having to develop a load of color film, which was a can of worms because I didn't have any color chemicals mixed up. So I had to, like, my process for color is I buy the 5-litre Fuji Express kit because it's the most economical when you kind of break it down. But that means I have to mix up 5 litres of a first dev, a colour dev, a bleach, a fix, and a stabilizer, and store them all separately, because then I freeze all the ones that I'm not using because I don't shoot colour very frequently. So they all get frozen and then defrosted probably in a couple of months' time when I've got another batch of film to develop. So that was a bit of a mission just to develop a few rolls of colour film, but it was worth it.
It definitely was worth it.
I can show you a little sneak preview of some of the images, actually.
Can you tell us, John? That looks like Rachel. You took that picture.
That's a Portra 400 photo of Rachel.
It's got a fairly long lens to reach Liverpool.
About 1,000 mil. So this is the first foggy one on Pan F in the foggy days.
Good tree.
Trees, good old trees. That was another foggy woodland one.
Yeah,
I like that.
John, have you? So we should mention that the zine, like the primary means of this zine going out, is by people who are patrons of you on your website, right? I
Yes.
need to make sure I get the term. So now the first zine was Tear It Down.
Yeah.
Is this a continuation of that, or does this zine have its own theme? Trees, for example.
This is the theme for this one's called A Long December. Obviously,
good.
And it covers this year, but it's kind of themes of like isolation and cycles of life, escapism, like hibernation, and then these kind of also like little slithers of light coming through of hope and optimism, and they're the sort of images that I went out and got the other day, and the one on the video right now.
What film is that?
What film is that? Is Portra 400.
That's really nice. See, that's why you get paid the big bucks, because I couldn't have meted that scene properly to save my life. Maybe you've got that lovely.
It was auto meet. It was in the Mamiya 7. So
Listen, take the compliment.
But actually,
it's really nice.
400 is one of the most forgiving colour films you can get, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Not to belittle the obvious talent of the Mamiya in the scene.
The meeting is the least of your concerns, and that isn't it? It's about being in the right place at the right time to get that.
To get that light. So in this particular shot that we're looking at, right, where the sunlight is slicing through, somewhere below the canopy of the trees, but above ground level, and it's just hitting the trunks. Very lovely. That is that's the challenge, isn't it? Right place at the right time, and being able to spot what's happening with the light. And it's precious little of it at this time of year as well.
Well, my secondary challenge is anytime I go out to take photos, I have to take my daughter in a pram at the same time. So I'm just like, it's a struggle.
You can get a lot of cameras under the pram now in the little carry tray, I found. When my kids were at that age, I was like, I can fit a whole camera bag under there. We can have all the nappy changing kit and all of that stuff, but I can also fit my whole camera bag and not have to carry it around all day.
Or better still, put the baby in the undercarry bit and then fill the top bit in cameras. Easier to get at.
I could take large format out if I did that, couldn't I?
Yes, exactly.
If you had a spare 500 quid, Peak Design would sell you a gadget to go on your pram.
I bet they would. Yeah,
I was thinking of getting, you can get. I've got one for when I do event photography, and I don't really like it, but it's quite useful for strapping cameras to your waist. So it's just like got a mount on the bottom of your camera, and you clip it in to a belt. I wanted to try and make one of those that would attach to a pram, because then I could just clip it on and then easily detach it on
the pram.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I actually, it's funny you don't like those. I like those because then the weight is not being carried on my back. So especially if I'm going on a longer walk, I like to have just the holster.
They're useful. I had an issue with one once, and my F6 fell onto a tarmac road. So I don't think I checked that it was screwed in properly. So yeah, it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
I'm just going to throw this in here, apropos of very little, but this is kind of a shout out because hopefully Gabe will hear this. Aid, I think we may have found you finally, after only rapidly heading towards 5 years, the perfect co-host for The Bag Show. So anybody who listened to the most recent I Dream of Cameras, which we put out on the Sunny 16% feed, Gabe Sachs, Jeff Greenstein's co-host, Gabe Sachs, oh boy, he has bag issues. I think the bag show needs to happen. I think you need to talk to Gabe about this and maybe talk him through some of his bag issues. So this is an open call out to Gabe. We need to make this happen. The bag show needs to happen.
Yes, that doesn't. Do you know that just pushing me towards somebody else doesn't get you out of it?
Absolutely does. Absolutely does.
Totally doesn't.
But yeah, I was just listening to that show thinking, oh, this has to happen. No, it definitely
I haven't listened to the latest one of those yet. I have to get onto that. I saw it into my podcast ad, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, they're great. I love those guys. They're doing a fabulous job. John, anything else you got going on?
No, I think that's it all at the moment.
With your zine, you did some writing for the last one. Is that going to be the same for this one as well? Is there going to be the thoughts of John Whitmore within this tone?
The deep, dark, nastiest thought. No, I have done more writing actually for this one. I've spent more time thinking about the writing and the ideas, and although a lot of that won't be included, it's driven the imagery a lot more than the last one. Where the first one was very much just about the photography with a small bit of writing. This is very much about the writing. Even though I might not include all that writing, it's actually given me a direction for the imagery.
See, I've thought about doing that in the past, or trying to do that, but it's got to link to the reason I'm not very good on social media. I find I have absolutely nothing to say. I think I just must be a lot shallower than the average artist.
I really struggle with it. It's so difficult and doesn't come naturally to me, but it is something that I'm really working on and trying harder. And this whole thing came from an old Counting Crows song called A Long December, right? Which I first heard when I was a teenager. And every year its lyrics kind of always just recur in my head every December. And then those lyrics then sparked off ideas and thoughts, and it just expanded from there. And I just let my mind go with the words, and yeah, it was quite an interesting experience.
I'm finding I'm a little bit envious listening to you say that, because I've never experienced that.
Well, just it wasn't until I found myself humming that tune, like just the lyrics in my head going over and over, and myself being aware that I was doing that was the seed. That was the very first thing. I was just like, that's it. That's what I'm going to hinge everything else on. Yeah. So just do that. Just pick something, anything that's grabbing your attention, and just let it go.
Maybe that could be the song you hinge it on. Let it go. Do you have any strong?
I think somebody made that song already.
If there's any consolation, I am in exactly the same place as you are with that. I hear John say that and go, that sounds great. I wish I could have those deep thoughts based on inspiration.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same with my photography in general. It's just I don't think it's and I don't think it comes from a place where I think, I'm not worthy, nobody would be interested or anything like that. I suppose there's maybe a bit of nobody would be interested, but I think the reason perhaps they might not be interested is that I don't actually have anything to say with my photography. It is genuinely just a hobby that I enjoy pootling about with, right?
With you.
And I'm anyway, anyway, this bit isn't about me, is it? This bit is about John. But well done, John, because that's quite a thing to have to sit down and get that out and write it, and it be meaningful and thoughtful. And
these are all things yet to be decided, aren't they? But and I'd like there's no go
about them then.
I don't go into it thinking, will anybody be interested in this? It's like a big part of creating is like that doesn't matter, because it's all about you, isn't it? It's what's inside your head. And maybe somebody will be, and that'd be great if one person gets something from it. That's a wonderful feeling. Just go with that. Yeah.
When's the zine going to be out?
By the weekend of the 29th or the 30th of January, I'm hoping to ship it then.
Awesome. And do you know what you're doing for February? What song are you going with that? Is it Boney M's Rah Rah Rasputin?
It's every 3 months, the zine. It's quarterly. So I've got a few months for the next one. But I've already I've got loads of ideas. Once you start going down that route of like just letting your mind wander with stuff, I've then started coming up with concepts for like the next 3 or 4 ones. It's whether they're relevant or not. That's the other thing. It's like just writing stuff down and letting them sit for a while until it becomes something that is the right time for it.
Gotcha. Well, Aid, I mean, I know you said you're not feeling like you've got these great, deep artistic thoughts, but we've been talking earlier about some of the stuff you've been doing, and I think you've been creating some great art. So what have you been up to over the last few weeks?
I stormed into 2021 full of joy and adventure and high spirits. And that got me all the way through to the day before the kids were supposed to go back to school. When literally at 8 p.m. on the day before they were supposed to go back to school, we were told that wasn't going to happen.
Surprise.
So anyway, we're having fun as a family. So we are, having spent the thick end of 9 months now with me and Emma, my wife, sitting at home in our studies on Teams calls for 6 hours every day, trying to keep the projects going for our work. We now have 2 children who are experiencing an early view into their future careers, but they're sitting at a desk with a headset on in front of a laptop doing Teams calls. For that, because that's how their school is doing the remote learning. So I have a study buddy most days, which is fun. But the reason for mentioning all of that, and the reason that's relevant, is that there's because it's remote schooling, quite a lot of the assignments for the kids come out and says you've got to make a video. So I've been making green screen videos. I directed my first advert the other day. Creative director, my talent, bless him. had an assignment to they're doing a really, this is a scary school project, right? This is my boy who's just turned 11 and he's in year 6, and they have this project called Brand Me, and it's kind of a self-awareness, personal growth type project, and they had to make an advert advertising themselves. He decided he wanted to do a green screen video talking about a few bits and bobs, so we knocked up some ideas on a sheet of paper, and then he went and put up the green screen, filmed it, edited it, put some music to it, etc. So done some school assignment videos, been doing some gerbil videos as well.
Can we
I think
slide that in now?
Now's a good time, isn't it?
This is where we go into
Are
the
we going to
viral.
spice this in now? Are we? Okay, so well, by way of introduction to my fine piece of moving picture art here, we have some gerbils in our house, and they love to get out and about, and they're quite energetic sometimes. So can I say run VT?
It's the music that makes it for me. Really, there's some funky jumping gerbils.
Well, I was looking for something funky. So I mean the gerbils are the talent, but so for those that didn't get a chance to see that, we'll put it somewhere, I'm sure, on the YouTube video, I guess. Took some slow-mo video of our gerbils jumping out of their cardboard box. So we take them out for exercise. They don't always live in a cage. They have a big cardboard box, and they can run around in that, but they've taken to jumping out of it, and it's probably 8 to 10 inches high, and they're jumping just straight off the ground. They're quite springy gerbils, as it turns out. Who knew?
Who knew?
I wanted some funky music. The music I made as well, by the way, just in case anybody's curious. All this was shot, edited, and music soundtrack, all on a phone. So it's GarageBand on the phone, throwing together some loops, export it into LumaFusion, stitch it together with the video, and Bob's your uncle. It's great.
That is quite amazing that you can do all of that to that degree just on your phone now. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you do need the talent, you need the content, you need the lights, and the crew,
and the gerbils,
you need the sandwiches, hair and makeup for the gerbils, of course. That's quite a challenge because they don't like to sit still for hair and makeup.
Just use a hairdryer, a hairdryer blasting them.
Just get like little poofy gerbils. See their little faces. So there's a bunch of stuff like that going. Do you know which is fun? Back in the world of actual photography, though, I've been when we last met up like this just before Christmas, I was talking about the big sheaf of photos that I've been printing, and I've been printing photos every day that I've been shooting every day. I decided since then, the other day, I decided to put them up on the wall. I thought, I've got sufficient photos now. I'm going to stick them up on the wall and see which ones survive a test of being on the wall, and are they interesting enough to maybe print bigger, or maybe put in a little book, or whatever, really. Whatever thing comes about. I realised I got to the end of it, and I had 66 prints.
Yeah.
They're little 6x4s, and so they're now on the wall in the living room. People can walk by and see them and go, I like that one, I don't like that one, and we'll see what's what comes of that. I have no fixed outcome for any of those photos. I'm just letting it soak in, see what happens, and see how they might get used or not. Has
anybody taken a Sharpie to them yet and graffitied on them?
No, I shouldn't. Yeah, that'd be interesting. We have a voting system or something.
Just big cross through
or big crosses through them. No, I mean these are a mixture of family stuff and the occasional landscape as we've been out on walks and stuff like that. So not so much of my old-fashioned cityscapes, because I don't really go to cities anymore. Just a bunch of stuff and being out and about, really. So we'll see what happens. And the other thing, actually, which is really interesting, because I'm trying to spend my evenings a little bit productively. I find working on bits and bobs to do with photography quite relaxing, and of course it's dark outside and there's not a lot to do, so I'm spending my evenings thinking about stuff or looking at stuff, or even actually doing stuff to do with photography. And I made a photo book, But this is a bit of a twist. So I have to say the books haven't arrived yet, so I can't speak as to whether I've done a good job or not. But one evening, I spent a few hours taking some recent photos, and I made some maths exercise books for my kids. Right. So if you use Blurb, the printing service Blurb, you can print journals. They call them journals. They're effectively notebooks, and you can have either lined paper, or you can have squared paper, or you can have plain paper. And my kids had run out of square paper for their maths lessons, so I've made them some maths books, and I've just littered photographs through them. So every now and again they'll turn a page, and there'll be a nice photo which will brighten up their day, hopefully. But I hope they haven't arrived yet, so I can't tell what they're like. I hear they're reasonable quality. To be honest, they're not. I've not really gone for the utmost in quality. No. Half the photos said, this image is too small, and I calculated, and I said, well, they're all over 200 DPI, so I'm not going to worry too much about them. I don't tend to worry if it's over 200 DPI. I know you're supposed to have at least 300, but these are math exercise books. They're not fine art books.
They might be in the future. You never know.
Well, they are. The thing about Blurb, of course, is that you could put your books up for sale. So now I've made the book, right? If you want to buy one, I'll set up the sales thing, and you can buy one.
Are there pictures of your gerbils within this book?
I think there must be. I can't honestly remember. It was a couple of weeks ago, and it's just one evening. And then, there you go. That'll do. Click.
I think an all gerbil math book could probably be quite a big seller. I can see that really reaching quite a lot of markets. So this could be your way out of the 9 to 5 aid.
In front of a little chalkboard doing algebra.
Yeah. You've got this green screen aid. I feel like it needs to have a purpose. I really liked seeing you sent a picture recently, just of your wall with all of the prints on, and it just looks great. It's just lovely seeing them all up there. I know that you're doing it to be functional, so you can look at them and live with them and decide which ones you want to do stuff with, and so on and so forth. But they look so good up there.
I like seeing them there as well. So it is it's the first time I've ever put stuff up in the living room. Though normally I'm like in a study or something where but as it turns out, all the walls in my study are there was no spare space for them. So I thought, we'll put them in the living room. Why not? It's the only bit of space, and I got away with it as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is impressive. It's always impressive when you can sneak a photo into the shared space. Yes. I know it's my
but I put up 66.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. That is pushing your luck somewhat.
So my pro tip is splash out for the white tag. Don't use the blue tag, right? In the living room, use the white tag.
Yeah, that is a good pro tip. I think we spoke about it recently, and maybe on the last backing paper I did with John, about this idea of getting a sheet of steel to fix to the wall, either in my shed or actually in here, like behind me, so I can then just magnet pictures on. Turns out sheet steel's quite expensive. Turns out, and also you have to be careful because it's not all magnetic. Not magnets won't stick to all of it, so. More research needed. I'll just get some iron bars for that. Go for the industrial look.
When I was looking at sheets of steel, another alternative I found was like a grid. Like a chicken mesh for like a chicken coop. That you can use that as well. But it's a bit.
That thought had crossed my mind. But that thought had still crossed my mind. Is that everything for you, Aid?
Is that not enough? I've made books, I've done videos.
You made videos. To be honest, the video alone was more than the rest of this podcast is likely to amount to, so I feel we probably peaked right about there. Apologies for anybody listening, but as we said, just go to YouTube, scroll to whatever time that happened and just watch that video. It's magic. I have been spending most of my free time, of which I've had quite a lot lately because it's January and work is quiet, in my dark shed, having a real good time practicing making prints because boy do I need that practice. So burning through a lot of paper, having a real good time doing it, hassling John on a pretty regular basis, I'd say, wouldn't you, John? Saying, John, what are we doing with this? John, why is this like this?
I think we've peaked it probably 4 times in one day. That's the maximum.
Yeah.
That's needy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I just ping him anyway. I know he's not going to respond to half. He's like, I don't care. Nobody else will even look at these things, so I'll just bollock on with it. But yeah, having a real good time with that. Burning through all of my paper far too quickly, to the point where I've now moved on to, because I've used everything else I've got some more old stuff. I bought some, not super old, but some old paper on eBay, some old Jessop's paper, which I suspect is probably going to be coming soon, so I'll burn it. But yeah, I'm burning through my art paper. So this picture that's up now for the people who are watching, these are a couple of prints which actually have got as far as being framed and up on the wall.
Okay.
And these are on some Ilford art paper, which is the expensive paper that I bought, which I really love. It's really, really nice. So I am using some of that. But yeah, just having a really good time. And those are a couple of pictures that I took today. I sorted through my negatives yesterday in the loosest possible sense. I was running out of space, so I went through them all, separated the 120 and the 35mm, and then pulled out all of the colour negs and put them in a separate folder to make room. And in the process of doing so, I pulled out a few sheets of films with negatives on that I wanted to go back and print and have a go at, and so those are a couple of prints that I did today from a roll I shot around Oxford several years ago. The negs were pretty grody, as is my want, so I thought I'm going to go with some pretty grody prints for things as well, and actually, because my paper is all 8x10 that I've got at the moment, but the aspect ratio of film isn't of 35mm is not 8x10, so I didn't want to cut them down because I just didn't want to do that. So I said, well, I'll just include the sides, and that's what I did with that. It's a bit gnarly, but it's all good fun.
How are you getting the sprocket holes in that? What sort of holder have you got?
That I'm doing it the easiest way possible. So I use a Meopta Optimus 6, I think is the enlarger I've got, and I have a carrier for 35mm. I also have a carrier for 6x6, so I'm just using the 6x6 carrier, yeah, I said just getting the end and they're getting the sprockets in. And there's actually, you can't really see on that picture because it was taken on my phone at the last minute, but that picture that's up now is the last picture I did today, again on art paper, because I've used all my other stuff, and that is a picture where I've used the entire width of the sprocket holes within it, so it's actually bordered by the sprocket holes, and you've actually got the bleed over of the image above and below. I thought I'm going to just try it, see how it looks, see how I feel about it. Again, another very old negative. That one, I think the reason I chose to print that negative, which is just of some ornamental allium buds coming up, is because that was the first roll of film that I home developed. So it's like, I'm going to do one from this. Turns out those negs are also filthy. So yeah, it's been a good time. I've been having fun. Pictures of Sinead, pictures from the shoot before, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, it's just been a good time, and it's keeping me out of mischief. The other thing I wanted to mention quickly, whilst we're catching up with what I've been going on, I wanted to give a shout out to Ilford Photo's customer service, Sue at Ilford Photo, because I shot in the challenge that we did before Christmas. I shot a roll of 120 FP4. In my Bronica, and developed it very promptly afterwards, got the pictures up, and on the film there was some mottling. I was like, okay, that's a bit bizarre. I thought, I don't know what I've done to cause that, but it's probably me, it usually is. Anyway, I was chatting to John about it, and John said, Ilford have had a few issues with some of their lower speed films, it might be worth dropping them a line. So I did that. Ilford have got a great customer feedback form. I went through it all, said, I shot this roll of FP4. This is and it's had a bit of mottling on it. Can you advise, please, on what you think might be the cause of this? Thinking, well, maybe if I can supply a code number, maybe it will help them narrow down where this problem is. Because apparently there's been a batch of stuff that's been affected, particularly 120 Pan F, I think, is the main one, isn't it, John? That's been
Pan F, and I think FP4 as well. Yeah.
Anyway, despite them saying that we're obviously snowed under at the moment with everything that's going on, and with the fact that most people are not working actually in the building, but I got an email back from the lovely Sue at Ilford very promptly, I think within a couple of days, saying, we've checked the code number and it turns out that matches with a batch from 2002. I was like, no, which might explain why there was some mottling, because although FP4 can hold the years. Who knows what that film's been through before it got to me. So, and I got this email as soon as it arrived, and it said within this email at the end, this is from 2002. So there's various reasons why it could have been this mottling. It was a really lovely email. She said, as a gesture of goodwill, we'll send you a roll of film anyway. And I wrote back straight away saying, no, please don't. I've been an idiot. This is entirely my fault. But anyway, suffice to say, I did get some rolls. And I want to make it very clear that Sue, who replied and deals with the customer service and stuff like that, they don't know who the hell I am. It's not as if I went, excuse me, I'm from Sunny 16. I have a problem. I just sent them a random feedback form with a name that she wouldn't have known. That's just, I wanted to give that as an example of the great customer service that I got from Ilford, because those guys are fabulous. And the only other thing,
you being Rachel's assistant at all, then?
No, exactly. If I put Rachel Brewster on there, I suspect I would probably have got like many bulk packs of film turning up, a lorry backing up to my door, and quite rightly so. And the only thing I want to give a very quick shout out to is client gave me a new camera. Look at that.
What you've done there is the same as trying to make a warranty claim on a 20-year-old second-hand car.
Yes. Successfully make a warranty claim on a 20-year-old car.
That he's put diesel in a petrol engine.
Yeah, okay, look, I do feel a little bit of guilty about that, but I did reply saying, please don't send me film. All I ask is that you don't tell Matt and Michelle or on Nevi at the end of it. I don't know whether that side of that. I don't know whether I got the film because she did instantly go and tell Matt and Michelle. We'll find out at some point soon, I have no doubt. But yeah, like I said, also got given that very nice Nikon FG20, FG20, which is very nice. I'm quite getting into Nikons now. This is why having a couple of years ago having no Nikons, I now have Nikons and I bloody love them. Thanks entirely to the generosity of other people like Jeremy and Alex and Hamish. I think we've got one of your lenses as well, Aid.
Have you? Oh no, yeah. I think I gave you a lens, didn't I? Was it a 35 mm?
Yeah, and it's great.
Series
I was out
E.
with it yesterday. Yeah. What I'm quite excited about is the lens on this camera. It's nothing super fancy, but it's a Vivitar 17mm. If I hold it up, you might be able to see it. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Vivitar 17mm, which is the widest lens I've got for anything. So I'm quite looking forward to just having a play around with that. So that's me. Yeah, busy. So that's us all caught up. There were a couple of news things we wanted to hit because they're relevant. The first one we'll go through very quickly because we did cover it in the podcast extra that I had when I spoke to Paul Mackay earlier in the week. And that is Fuji's discontinuation of another film. Yay! Who would have guessed? Pro 400H colour film has been discontinued, and from what Paul was saying, is already drying up in the supply chain very quickly. So, quick round robin from you guys. Have any of you shot it before? Is it a film you have any emotional attachment towards?
I think I've shot one roll of it. I know it's a popular film, isn't it? But it's like if they can't get hold of the materials or it doesn't make sense to anymore, it's like, what can you do? Unfortunately, it's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I had shot a couple of rolls of it some time back, some years ago, maybe. I couldn't tell you though. I couldn't tell you what it looked like though. So yeah, that's how long ago it was, or how little of it I've shot.
Yeah. What about you, Claire? Have you shot this one?
I think the same as Age. I think I have, but I couldn't tell you.
Part of me wants to say it's quite a cool blue colour, but I don't know why I want to say that. I'll probably be getting that mixed up with something else.
No, I think you're right. I saw a few pictures floating around on the internet after it. I think it's quite popular with wedding photographers after a certain look to it. So I'm quite excited because I had a quick dig through my film stash, and it turns out that not only have I got a couple of rolls of Pro 400H in 120, but this stuff is pre-recession. It's from 2007, so it's when they were making the good stuff. So I think this is going to pay for the rest of my photography habit for the year. I'm accepting offers in excess of, I don't know, a couple of mil for each roll, so that's really exciting. I think I'll retire off that. The more positive news, there is actually positive news as well, which came out today out of the blue, which was a real delight, which is that our friends at Ilford have announced a new paper. John, you know far more about printing and paper than any of the rest of us do. Can you tell us a bit about this new paper that they've released?
I've only quickly read about it. It's what's it called?
Fourth wall, John.
It's an RC paper, the portfolio range, which I think previously they only had as postcard types. So it's like this, and it's a heavier weighted paper. So it's really nice. And they are releasing that in different sizes now with the new emulsion technology that they've got. So when they released the multigrade 5 last year, was that last year? I can't remember. 2 years ago. Last year.
No, it wasn't. It was 2 years ago because you came to my shed to do stuff about it. So it must be 2 years ago.
That is depressing. Well, anyway, what they developed, created with that emulsion, they're now putting that on this heavier base paper. I don't know if it's exactly the same, and then making that available in different sizes. I believe they're discontinuing the postcard types as a byproduct of this shift, but it's great. It's if it is as heavy as the postcard paper, that is fantastic because that's a real solid, sturdy paper. I think I read that the response to it is very similar to the fiber papers as well. So that like regards exposure and everything. So translating between the two will be a lot easier. But you get the benefits of RC for your quick development times and washing. So yeah, all good. They're constantly doing stuff, aren't they? And tweaking things, and to have a broad range of sizes as well is great. I think they're starting with 8x10. And then
at the moment, that's the only
sizes.
thing that's on their website. Yeah. And with the postcard stock, although they are discontinuing the postcards with the printed back on it, you can buy the size paper that is postcard size, and they actually have a template on the website that you can then download and print onto the postcards. Right. So you can make your own postcards still. You can still do that, but they won't be sent. So, I'm sure it's...
that's cool. As long as if they're still doing the same size, that's great, because that's a really popular thing to do, isn't it? Is create postcard size prints.
I think that I think it's just the printing.
I think that's a good move, because the backing on the postcards I always found was quite faded as well. It wasn't a very strong print. So that's a sensible move, I think.
Yeah. And Aid and Claire, as two people who don't get in the darkroom at all, I'm sure you're very excited by this news.
I am definitely one who prints a lot of postcard size prints though. So
yeah. It'll be there for one day in the future when this is the great thing about Ilford and just the direction that they're going, by which I mean up, as opposed to at best sideways or down, which is what many of the other companies are, is that at least with Ilford you feel like even if you come to these things, even if maybe in 20 years time you'd think, I actually want to do some printing, I want to have a go at that there might still be film photography going because of Ilford.
Do you know what? Right, anybody that has followed my photography adventures at all knows that I'm incredibly fickle, and I go through phases of this and phases of that. So I'm totally, yes, absolutely. I'll be back there at some point, I am sure.
When I was going through my negatives yesterday and just sorting through, one thought did pop into my head, especially as I'm having such a good time in the darkroom at the moment. I've spent more time in there than I have done at any point in the past. And it got me thinking about Hamish, our good friend Hamish Gill, who, as some people may know, some people won't, Hamish just throws his negatives away. Once he's got them, he scans them, and says, I'll never want to do anything with these. I'm just going to get rid of them. And that's because you just never know what the future might hold, and at some point in the future...
That seems like insane to me.
Okay, so I'm sure I must have told you guys this. I threw away all my negatives as well.
Oh, no.
How do I set this video up to kick people out?
Where's the banana, John?
I thought you had a thing you could throw a banana at video.
Well, let's throw a banana.
You can throw a banana at me on the video if you want.
Do you think so, that if you throw your negatives away,
not me,
then you might think at this moment in time that you've maybe got everything you want from them, but what happens if 5 years down the line you think, oh, I wish I had that negative because I've got an idea and I feel like I could work a print and do something different with it, or use it for a multiple exposure or something. I can't. Gosh, throwing the negatives away.
So part, without rehashing all of my psychological challenges over the last 2 years with photography, right? All of that stuff was the burden that was stopping me get to the creative bit.
Yeah.
Right. So having done what I did, getting rid of all the cameras, well, not all of them, obviously, but almost all of the cameras, and a bunch of other stuff, and all of that has been an act related to those negatives that helped me be more creative. Now it's a slightly unorthodox act, but these things would. It was all of that stuff, all of that equipment, all of that stuff hanging around. That was a burden, right? A psychological burden. I don't know. I don't want to wax too lyrical about it because, for further than no other reason, and I'll sound like a bit of a wanker if I do.
I can understand, like if you've got a lot of equipment or a lot of cameras and you feel like I need to streamline or whatever. And I'll get out. I don't know, but your negatives, it's something different, isn't it? So,
I haven't lost any photos. So every single film I ever shot went off to a lab and was sent back as scans.
Yeah.
Right. So I haven't lost any images. And will I come back at some point and think, oh, well, all of those scans, I've got a 35mm that are only 6 megapixels. I can't print them the size of the side of my house. Well, okay, then I'll kick myself. But I've been in what I'd call a fix forward mode, right? Which is let's get rid of all the blockages and move forward. And if I found out that I've gotten rid of too much stuff, well, we'll sort that out when we come to it.
Yeah. No, I'm. You have to do what works for you, don't you? But it is one of the things that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I'm going to apply to that Analog Wonderland fund for a storage unit where anyone who's going to throw out their negatives can just put their negs there.
Oh, God, that's a great idea.
That's a nice idea, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And in 30 years' time, the film community can descend upon it and just go through this amazing archive of yours and Hamish's negatives. Because no one else throws them away.
That was going so well as an idea, John, until you let on that it was mine and Hamish's negatives.
You can pay for it yourself.
Well, that's it for news. Let's move on quickly now to the thing that we're all very excited about here, which is the next round of the Cheap Shots Challenge. It's been a little while since we did the last one. I think we wrapped that up in November. Does that sound believable to anybody? I don't know. Let's say November. We wrapped it up a while ago. And we felt it's time, new year, new Cheap Shots Challenge. And particularly, as I mentioned before, I was out for a walk with the lovely Paul Mackay just before we slammed back into lockdown. And whilst we were walking around chatting about this and that and photography in general, Paul said, I've had a great idea for a Cheap Shots Challenge, to which I thought, I bet you haven't, Paul. But he actually had. Paul had a good idea. Make a note of it, everyone. It's probably not quite as good as his UK Film Photography Community Fund, but it's up there. So the theme for this round of the Cheap Shots Challenge is cliches. Photographic cliches. Now,
nice. I love a good cliche.
Who really, in our heart of hearts, who doesn't? Because otherwise they wouldn't have become cliches.
Exactly.
So let's do a round robin here. Aid, what are some of your favourite type of cliche photos? When you think of cliche photos, what pops into your head?
Ooh, that's a good one. I hear there's a bit of a theme on Instagram where a young lady will be photographed in a landscape, often sitting down, facing away from the camera, by the seafront or something like that. That would seem to be a modern example of a cliche.
That's a good one.
Wedding photos. So the formal photos in a wedding. We have some for our wedding, right? And whilst I love all the people that are in the photos themselves cause me agony. So they're a cliche I don't love.
Okay, so we can look for formal wedding photography. What about you, Claire? Are there any that you particularly...
I straight away thought of the technique. When people put the Vaseline, actually it can really look lovely. But I was thinking of wedding photos, and I was thinking of when I was when I was a lot younger, and one of my cousins, we went to her wedding. I was still in primary school, and so in the pictures, I think they put the Vaseline on the lens.
Yes, it's
And
the
you
Sybil
get-
Shepherd effect, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what came into my mind. But actually, if you apply that, not necessarily in a wedding setting, just a touch of Vaseline, it can create a lovely lighting effect, can't it?
Just a touch of Vaseline.
So
Sorry?
no, I think that's a really good because that brings up, because a cliche should somebody mentions it, describes it, I think it should sort of spring images to life in your mind, shouldn't it? Right. And that does, when you mention that, Claire, totally, the absolute epitome of that for me is the TV series Moonlighting, which was from the mid 80s maybe, which starred Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis before Die Hard, right? So before he became a major Hollywood star, he was hilarious on the telly in this series. But they always used to shoot Sybil Shepherd in this sort of out of focus, Vaseline on the lens kind of a way. It's not as if she even needed it.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to. now we've spoken about it. That's what I'm going to do for my. I'll apply that technique to my photograph.
Is the idea to play with the cliches, like could you put the Vaseline on someone's face rather than the
oh, that would be yes. I mean,
on your spectacles.
So anybody who lives in Anglesey and sees Claire going to the shops coming out with an economy-sized bottle of Vaseline, don't worry, it's for photography.
It's all right. I think people must by now have stopped judging Claire.
I would think so.
It's a tight-knit community. You must be known by now, Claire.
I am. But the Vaseline, though, seriously, just a little bit on.
No, I'm sorry, I can't talk
remove
seriously
our
about
brains
Vaseline.
from wedding photos and think of another setting. You can create, can't you? Almost like a fog. A bit like what
Interesting.
Because I'd love to have guaranteed fog where I could go and shoot for the atmosphere, but you can create a sort of surreal lighting effect.
You could do that, couldn't you? Especially if you had an ND grad. No, something like that, because the color in the filter would let you know where to apply the Vaseline to. You could either have a foggy sky or a foggy foreground.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and let's not forget, Claire, that
I'm on board
what camera are we
Vaseline.
talking? Yeah, Claire's on board. Until we remind Claire that her cheap shot camera is what now, Claire?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Do I have to stick with the same one? Diana camera, yeah.
You haven't been having much luck with that, Diana, have you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to put a bullet in it, we will allow it, because the whole point is it's supposed to be entertaining and fun for us to do. So if that camera is not bringing you joy, then bin it. You send me a picture of you hitting that camera with a hammer, I will let you choose a new cheap shots camera.
No, I didn't. Send it to Australia.
Or send it, or post it to Australia.
Yeah. But no, I'm talking myself into the Vaseline technique now.
Don't take that out of context, please. Okay. Well, Claire, you'll have to let us know which camera you decide to use, your cheap shots camera, and we'll judge whether or not it's worthy. John, cliches. You seem like a man who's probably more than familiar with cliches.
I've dabbled in cliches. When Aid mentioned the Instagram photos, I keep being presented with this one photo on Instagram, which I've actually seen happening, which is a couple with the woman leaning out of the side of a train. And it's taken in Sri Lanka, where the train goes up on a high viaduct with foggy mountains in the background. And I actually saw a couple of people doing this, and it's the most ridiculous, dangerous, stupid thing ever. Sorry, that's my rant out of the way. But it's a massive cliche, and loads of people do it. And I was thinking I could just recreate that on the 7:15 to Bolton or something.
No.
I think that could be a really fertile ground, actually. The idea of a lot of these travel photography cliches, Aid, you mentioned, also the idea of the model in the field with her back to you. There's quite a few of these tropes, which when taken out of context and put into very mundane context could be very funny. So I'm very much on board for that, because you've got stuff like the people in these beautiful surroundings, and they're just looking down. You can see their feet and some valleys and rivers and stuff behind them. It's like, imagine if you just see people's feet and there's like Tesco's in front of their feet or something like that.
You can definitely play with it like that. Yeah. So there's another one, isn't it? It's the one where it's usually the girl in the couple is holding out her arm behind her and dragging some poor bloke along with her, or maybe he's holding her back while she's trying to live her life. I guess it's probably more accurate. So you could definitely do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, John's got his cheap shot camera. Helena, ask for it by name.
That.
A classic brand.
That is beautiful.
I added
the
red dot to make it look like a Leica.
like a Leica.
I like it.
That's great. That is good. My cheap shots camera's over on the shelf there. I can't bother to go and get it, but we've all seen it. We all love it. I don't, but I'm stuck with it.
Is it still the fugly? Is it still?
It's still the
broken?
fugly. Still no, regrettably. Although I'm so tempted to drop kick it down the stairs to hasten that. But so yeah, that's it. That's the topic. Cliches. Cliches are like pornography in that they're all over the internet. We all claim to not like them, but secretly it's pretty great. And also, when you see it.
Have you been thinking of that all day?
Oh, yeah, that definitely sounds like a line from the script.
So the important business. Actually, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget what the important business is. So, Cheap Shots Challenge. Here are the rules. So you need to be using, ideally, a camera that costs you £30 or $30 or less. Now, listen, if someone's given you a camera, and it's a cheap camera, then that's okay too. But don't go, well, somebody gave me this lovely Nikon FM, or somebody gave me this Leica. It didn't cost me anything. No, come on, stay in the spirit. We don't mind people using SLRs if they got them cheap. That's fine. Although if you're using an SLR, you need to have got the camera and the lens for under 30 quid. So play by the rules. We're very strict here. We're really not. It's all about the fun. What we want you to do: shoot your roll of film. Then go through, pick your 2 favourite images from this and send them in to us at sunny16podcast@gmail.com by here's a deadline, 28th of February. So you've got just over a month. That's plenty of time to go out and get some pictures of cliches. The great thing about cliches is there are cliches in the house. There are cliches of just being out with your friends. Boy, you're not going to find it difficult to find cliches. When you email us, please put Cheap Shots Challenge Cliches in the subject line. You don't have to put the funny little umlaut or whatever it is over the E, because that's difficult and I don't know how to do that. So just cliches is fine. In the name of the image, please can you rename your images with your name, the camera and film that you've used in each shot that you send in. It makes our life so much easier at this end. And also in the email, it would be great if you could tell us just the story of your pictures and explain why your cliche picture actually transcends the cliche and is in fact a work of sublime art. That would be fabulous.
Are you asking for artist statements?
No, but would definitely like to have some nonsense along that theme. That would be great. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's, knowing our listeners, I think we're going to see some absolute delights. I think it's an opportunity to make some really good work and some really fun work as well. And it seems only fitting that as he came up with the idea for the Cheap Shots Challenge, that Paul from Analog Wonderland will join us to judge it at some point towards the end of March. So end of February for the deadline, and we'll look to judge it at end of March. So get out there and get your fingers clicking. Aid, you sold your Cheap Shots camera. But
it's gone to a much better home with somebody who will love it and care for it and hopefully use it. So, hi, Bill. Hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, Bill too's got it. So, I mean, but you're going to need to take some pictures for cliches. I mean, do you want me to send you a cheap rubbish camera? Because I could.
Let me ponder that for a moment.
Having said, you don't want all this garbage in your life.
So I do. So this is, I don't have any film for it. I could buy some. I do have the Polaroid camera that you gave me as a present.
That would definitely count as a Cheap Shots camera, 100%.
So there's definitely that. So I will need to get onto Mr. Wonderland's website, won't I, and order myself some film.
But you have
What
got a
film
cheap
does it
shot. 600, you're fine.
Can I buy film for that? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
If you could ping me a note somewhere, just tell me what film I need to buy for it. That would be useful. Failing that, of course, I do still have film cameras. If only as my price of entrance to this show. So I still have two Holgers. I still have my Instax Mini 90. I could use that actually. I got a roll of the Instax Mono in the Instax Mini Mono film in the fridge. I could definitely use that as well. That's not a cheap camera as such, but it is rubbish.
I mean, that's really the most important thing.
So you know, Graham, that I've always hated that camera. So it's not like I'll be doing something with a camera that I really love and trying to sneak in. Sorry, Claire, I'm talking over you constantly.
It was me, sorry, interrupting. No, I was going to say, because you've been quite inventive recently, and with all your videos and everything, you could even make a pinhole camera, couldn't you? No.
Yes.
Maybe with one of your...
out of a gerbil.
Such a cliche.
Pinhole cliches. Yeah. Pinhole cliches are a whole box of cliches in their own right. Well, we will leave it there then. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'm excited for what the listeners come up with. I hope you guys watching and listening to this are as excited about this as possible. And get out there and shoot. We need some inspiration and some entertainment at this time of year, and this can be it for us. We will wrap up and get out of here now. As we mentioned, if you want to get in touch with us, thank you very much, John. Drop us a line at sunny16podcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter and on Instagram and I mean, I was going to say Facebook, but just don't bother. I think that's pretty dead. That's on Facebook. We just, we can't spread ourselves that
Discord, actually. I've been chatting in the Discord. Don't forget that.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's a great point, actually. We do have a Discord channel, which Matthew Joseph set up for us, the wonderful Matthew Joseph. Just had his birthday. Happy birthday, Matthew. I got to speak to him the other day. So, he's doing well. So yes, join us in all of those places. If you were looking for the Discord channel, I think there's a link on the Instagram page. Is that right, John?
No idea.
Okay,
well, I'll look it up on my phone. I think it's just called Sunny 16 Podcast. So in Discord, you can just go into Discord, search on the server, and it is called Sunny 16 Podcast.
There you go. Yeah, then that's great. As Aid clearly knows far better than me. I know there's some great people on there using it. It's a great place to go for conversation. There have even been sort of virtual photo walks and stuff like that organised through it before now. So
and as ever with these slightly less social media platforms, longer form conversations as well. Definitely some more in-depth stuff there.
Yeah, good stuff. Aid, where can people find you for more frequent glimpses of your beautiful face?
Well, I'm hoping that you guys will let me be here more frequently.
Oh yes, now that's a very good point. It's the thing we completely forgot to talk about. So tell us about your upcoming plans.
My upcoming plans? I have upcoming plans. Oh yes, no. Sorry, gosh, yeah, sorry. Lost the plot there for a minute. Yes, my upcoming plans, of course. Why did I not think of that? Well, it's not just me, is it? So yeah, John and I have been kicking around some ideas for a new Sunny 16 Presents, based loosely around.
That's it. That's let's just tell them that.
Yeah, based loosely
on reality.
Gerbils.
Gerbiltography, yes, or as somebody who owns a rat corrected me, rodentography. No, we've been thinking about doing some stuff, haven't we, John, around lighting, and other things to do with light, but very much in the loose idea stage at the moment. Hoping to make that a bit video-ish as well as a bit audio-ish. So we'll watch out for that. It'll be up and coming soon, won't it, John?
Definitely. 2021.
Yeah, and beyond that, as Aid was saying, hopefully, as time and makes sense, you're just gonna be appearing back on here anyway more often, aren't you, Aid? That's the plan.
I'd love to. So first of all, thank you for indulging my creative celebrity tantrum and storming off and leaving you all to it. Although I do know that it took 2 new co-hosts to replace me, right? So No, honestly, what you guys have been doing has been brilliant, and I did wonder whether I'd have anything to add coming back, but I'm very glad to be here, and if you'll be happy to have me, very happy to stay.
Yeah, so that's just great news. I mean, when we got together before Christmas, and after having not really spoken to you much in the intervening months, to kind of get you back on and realize that your energy and enthusiasm for being back and doing stuff was coming back. It's like, oh, this is great. This is great. So yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to New Year. New Year with a full team of hosts. Even if Rachel is just a postcard member, but she will be back. I promise you, she has not been abducted by aliens. It might seem like that at the moment, but she is just super busy at the moment. So, but we miss you, Rach, and we can't wait to have you back on here. I think that's everything we need to get out. John, you mentioned your zine. Do you just want to point people quickly towards where they can go if they wish to patronise you and receive this fabulous zine?
Please patronise me on my website, which is John
You're
Whitmore.
so good, John. Your work's wonderful. You're being patronising.
Where's that banana? johnwhitmorephotography.co.uk and at the Dark Shed on Twitter and Instagram. I will be doing a Dark Shed live stream on Sunday, the 31st of January as well, to celebrate the occasion of my next zine coming out with some test printing and a discussion of the images as well.
Launch party, cool.
Woo!
That sounds great. And Claire, where can people find you stressing over posting on a regular basis?
I'm just Claire Marie Bailey on my website and Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, go there. Like Claire's work, because it's wonderful. I love the work you do. Right then, listeners, we will play you out, as always, with Rachel's band Roja. You can find their music on Spotify and Amazon and Bandcamp and wherever good music can be found. We will be back with you next week. Now, what's next week? It's the 26th, so I think we've got Nikki joining us next week, so that's very exciting. Oh no, I've got music coming. I'm going to have to make sure I hit the thing on it. So, thank you once again very much for listening. Stay tuned to the end, and we will be back next week. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Not bad, Tom.